Welcome to FCPS All-Stars. I'm pleased to welcome today Mary Lynn Hind and Virginia Stranad of the Student Homelessness Initiative Partnership, also known as SHIP. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I'm very glad to have you here today.
We're very happy to be here, thanks.
People are often inspired by a need, and that need creates a spark, which starts a business or a nonprofit. How did a pair of flip-flops inspire you to start SHIP?
Well, that's a really great question. And what happened is my husband Ed received a email from a friend who had forwarded an email from another friend saying there's been a young student identified in one of the middle schools in Frederick County, and in the middle of November on a really cold day was found at school wearing flip-flops.
Oh my.
And one of the teachers approached the young man and began to ask some questions and found out that he was homeless. Those were the only shoes he had, that his birthday was coming up and he was just feeling so sad and so alone. So that sparked what became this ongoing conversation from friend to friend to Facebook. And my husband posted it on Facebook saying, here's a need that we've identified. We didn't even realize there were this number of homeless students in our school system here in Frederick County. And lo and behold, people came out of the woodwork, and we had hundreds of responses and deliveries of shoes and clothing and money. It was unbelievable.
Now, people often use social media to post pictures, trivial things like jokes and things like that. But how surprised were you by the response that you received regarding a true need?
Well, we were very, very surprised. And what one person contacted another person, and pretty soon we had this swell of people coming forward liking the Facebook page, and pretty soon there were several hundred people who had looked at the Facebook page and began to comment and began to become aware of the issue of student homelessness, which was really kind of a very quiet conversation in the community for a number of years.
Okay.
And people began to really wake up to the fact that there was a need in our community that we could address just as community residents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you found a need, you started a Facebook page, and you met that need. What happened next?
Virginia?
Yeah. Well, I began finding these needs, and they would come to me, and I would post them on the Facebook page, and that's how I began collecting all of the shoes and clothes for all of the many students that came across our radar. And I found that if I would post a specific need, you know, a middle school child has outgrown his shoes, they're too small, they're worn out. If I can tell a little story like that, then I get a lot of response, and that's how I do all of my collection, is through Facebook. People respond when they know there's a specific need.
That's a great way to get the word out. Just curious, how many Facebook followers do you have for SHIP?
About 1,900.
We're closing in on 2,000.
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
You mentioned the number of homeless students in the Frederick County. About how many homeless students are there in our county?
As of this week, there were 736 students that are considered homeless within the Frederick County Public Schools. And there is a law called McKinney-Vento that is and governs all of the public schools in the United States. And their definition of homeless is really tied into a child that does not have a permanent location in which to live. That child could be living with grandmother, then aunt and uncle, other relatives. That child could be living in a car. That child could be living in a shelter.
Right.
Anything that is not permanent, that child is considered to be homeless. And McKinney-Vento protects that child's ability to make sure that their needs are met at the same level as other students within the schools. So they are given the the absolute same opportunities, and the schools have identified a person within each school, and each school has a homeless administrative coordinator, each school system. And that person is tasked with making sure that all the schools are keeping an eye on these students and making sure that their needs are met.
Okay. Now, what types of services do you supply students?
Well, I mostly do the clothing needs, although sometimes unusual needs come across the Facebook page, but mostly it's, for me, it's the clothing, coats, shoes, things like that. But we do some other things as well, but that's my main role.
And we also do, if the need is there, for instance, if a family can't get to the food bank or to any other distribution area for food, if they don't have a car, we can provide meals for them at whatever location they are living at the time. And we also can provide emergency shelter, and that comes in the form of motel stays. We give a number of days, and we can respond very quickly. So if a school calls and says that there's a young student living in the car with their family, within several hours we can have that family checked into a motel and give them the comfort of some shelter, some safety, and time to then look into other things. We refer our families onto the Religious Coalition Community Action Agency because we're really the first responders. So we can do the things that other organizations can't do in a very, very quick period of time. We put the Band-Aid on and then we send them off because we're not caseworkers. We don't manage those longer term needs that those families have. But we do what we can, we do it quickly, and we do it in a way that makes the families feel very safe.
That's wonderful. Do you exclusively work with Frederick County Public School students, or do you work with students all around?
No, it's just Frederick County Public Schools. Yes, our students.
So your organization was started to meet the need of our own community.
Yes.
Yes, it was. We began our relationship with the schools like early on with just making donations and helping, and we developed such a strong relationship, and we proved that we could do what we said we could do, and kind of take some of the burden off of the schools, because the person who is meeting the needs of the homeless people within that school may be a guidance counselor, maybe the school secretary. Not every school has a homeless liaison or coordinator that's their job. So that each school can turn to SHIP and say, I have a student, we have a need, and they pass it on to us, and they know that we're going to get that done, and we'll follow up if necessary, and we'll take care of that. But most often we don't ever need to meet the child, so their confidentiality and anonymity is very protected, which is a very important element of our relationship with the schools, is respecting that.
Yes.
Now, I know you've got about 2,000 Facebook followers, but how do you, with boots on the ground, get the things to the students?
I like to meet the liaisons at the schools. I love to meet the fellow shipmates. If I can make personal contact with our shipmates and with our liaisons, they're more likely to come back to us. And so that's worked very well.
Now, who else partners with you to get the needs met? Is it just you and your husband and Virginia in the office?
Mostly.
All right.
We work out of our homes, and we're all volunteer. We do have a board of directors that governs us, and we are a 501c3. And we also have what Virginia referred to as our shipmates, which are almost 2,000 Facebook followers who come to need. We put a request out there, and we're flooded with opportunities for people to say, I'll get that clothing, or I'll do this, provide this service. And we partner a lot of times, some of the driving schools and local businesses will help us out if we identify a need that
Yes.
they specifically can meet.
Not only are you an organization that meets the needs of our students, but it's a community effort to meet the needs of the students. Because I've heard you say you partner with Community Action and the Religious Coalition, and you're also partnering with local businesses. So it really is an outreach with a dynamic breadth in order to be able to meet those needs. That's amazing.
It is, and it's really evolved into a movement of compassion and generosity, and I think that we've provided a platform and an opportunity for people to do things that are relatively easy to do and have a great impact, because you know you're changing the life of a child who might just be off, you know, in the corner somewhere, and you may never meet that child, but you know, because we get feedback, like this family who you helped and they were in motel and they went to the shelter, they're now moving into permanent housing, the students are doing well, the kids are great, and you know, so you know, we had a little part in that, but it's a community effort.
How does someone get in touch with you to either alert you to a need or to get someone plugged into resources that you offer?
Anybody who would like to find out about SHIP could go to our website, which is www.shipfrederick.com. So easy. We have a Facebook page, and we also have a phone number dedicated to SHIP. And a lot of the organizations and other agencies in town know of SHIP, so if they encounter a similar situation with a child who's homeless and the schools might not be aware of them for whatever reason, they will also contact us. So we make sure we kind of tie up all those loose ends and everybody works together on behalf of that child.
Are you still looking for volunteers?
Always. And we need people just to be able to donate, to be able to provide clothing. We have a lot of events coming up this summer, and those will all be posted on our Facebook page and our website, and those are volunteer opportunities as well.
Is there anything else you would like our audience to know about SHIP?
Well, for me, that the kids' lives really are changed in some small way by what we do. I get feedback about the kids loving their new clothes, or for especially the teenagers, it's a self-esteem thing. If they have a brand new set of clothes, it just puts a spring in their step. It could make all the difference. They don't want to be identified as homeless. When they had a new pair of shoes, a new suit of clothes, they can blend in with all the other students.
Right, absolutely.
And I think for me, the heart of our organization is the ability to reach beyond ourselves and our own personal lives. We can all sit back very comfortably, but when you know within the community that you really love, that there are people that might be invisible to you, that really have great needs, that there's a way of making a difference in a very simple way. You know, you don't have to be there all the time. You don't have to donate every time there's a request, but you can do something, you can feel really good about it, and you know that these students need to stay in school. And their lives are really troubled otherwise often, and so for them to be able to stay in school, to blend in, to have that sense of community in school, and know that there's somebody watching out for them. It's like, you know, somebody's got my back. And that's a very special thing that we can do. And I think that really speaks of SHIP, is we've got your back, kids.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for all you do for the students in Frederick County, and also for your heart of service. We really appreciate that, because when you share your heart and you open it, what you have found is that people are often willing to share theirs as well. And we so appreciate that, and I know our students do too. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for joining us as well. We look forward to seeing you next week on FCPS All Stars, and don't forget, shine on.